Prince Harry has reached a settlement in his lawsuit with UK tabloids.
Now with the fallout over Prince Harry's memoir Spare, where he makes blistering claims about the royal family and the British press.
Despite being one of the most beloved figures of our time, Prince Harry has carefully crafted an air of mystery, as he has managed to keep his private life from the prying eyes of the public. Many of his fans hoped for a glimpse into his personal life, especially his home, and recently had their wish granted. What is behind the walls of the Duke of Sussex's home, and how does that affect his relationship with the general public? Join us as we dive into how what they found in Prince Harry's private palace will leave you shocked, a dreamlike paradise. It is no news that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex like to keep their personal life low-key and only occasionally offer their fans peeks inside the private residence. It was showcased in great detail when they let cameras into their home for their self-named Netflix show, Harry and Meghan, in 2022. Although the couple do not live in a castle or a palace, their United States home was in fact modeled to look like a grand chateau. In fact, the £11 million home in Montecito is known as the Chateau of Riven Rock. The entranceway to the property is equally as grand, as the couple's stone property is covered in sprawling ivy. This gives it a postcard-perfect exterior, and there are double wooden doors that lead into their home. On either side of the doorway are two large pots with trees in them, adding to the wonderfully welcoming feel. In an interview, Meghan revealed that she and Harry fell in love with the property instantly, noting that they did everything they could to get this house. She explained that as a couple, they enjoy a feeling of calm and a newfound sense of freedom as well in their new home. The family house also boasts a wine cellar, a games room, and a vast outdoor swimming pool. Celebrity neighbors in the A-list enclave include Oprah Winfrey and Katy Perry, who both often spend time with the royal couple. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex may have found a house that is finally worthy of housing royalty like themselves. But can this house be compared to that which they left behind? The home in Kensington. Prior to moving to the United States, Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, lived in Kensington Palace in the UK. The building was completed in the year 1605 to the design of Sir George Coppin. Originally, the building was a two-story Jacobean mansion, but it would eventually become an official royal residence in 1689, after it was purchased by William III and Mary II of England. In the 327 years since, it has been passed down through numerous monarchical reigns and has been the residence of Queen Anne, George I, George II, and Queen Victoria, among many others. However, Kensington Palace is a spooky place, even for royals. Not all those who lived in the palace enjoyed good fortune there, but it is the female royals that have had it the hardest at Kensington Palace. Queen Anne fell pregnant 17 times with her husband, Prince George of Denmark, while living at the palace, but none survived to adulthood, and as a result, she fell into multiple depressive episodes throughout her reign. Queen Caroline fared little better than her predecessor, but she passed after her 8th pregnancy when an umbilical hernia resulted in a botched surgery. More recently, it has been reported that numerous friends, aides, and servants of the late Princess Margaret and Princess Diana said that both were unhappy while living at the royal residence. By the late 19th century, the palace had fallen into disrepair. It was facing calls to be torn down until Queen Victoria came to its rescue, stating that so long as she lived, the palace in which she was born would not be destroyed. It has since been restored. After their wedding, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex decided to live in Nottingham Cottage, in the grounds of the palace. The two-bedroom property had been Harry's bachelor pad since his brother, Prince William, and Kate Middleton moved out in 2013. It was also once home to Princess Diana's sister, Lady Jane Fellows, and her husband, Sir Robert Fellows, the Queen's former secretary. The Duke once enjoyed close relationships with his immediate family members, and he was even said to be uniquely bonded with his brother. However, the Duke does not enjoy that anymore, and the relationship with his relatives is said to have gone sour. How did Harry's relationship get strained with his family members? What could have been the catalyst for that change? A bond gone sour. The Prince of Wales, Prince William, once said that he and his brother were uniquely bonded by what they had been through after the passing of their mother in 1997. However, more than 25 years later, Harry claimed William attacked him in a row over his marriage to Meghan Markle. They are perhaps the most famous brothers in the world, and just like many brothers, they have had their ups and downs over the years, with Prince Harry claiming Prince William attacked him at Nottingham Cottage in the grounds of Kensington Palace in 2019. Their mother died in a car crash in Paris in August 1997, a year after her divorce from their father, then Prince Charles. The brothers walked behind their mother's coffin during the funeral procession to Westminster Abbey on the 6th of September 1997. William later on described the experience as one of the hardest things he had ever done, and Harry said no child should be asked to do what they did. Throughout the years that followed, the brothers appeared to have had a good relationship, with William noting they were uniquely bonded because of what they've been through. In April 2002, the brothers were part of another funeral procession, as they were part of the funeral procession for Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Princes William and Harry later paid tribute to their inspirational great-grandmother. The brothers always stuck together. Harry was standing by his side at his wedding in April 2011, and the brothers were seen smiling and chatting as Kate walked up the aisle. The Duke of Sussex is said to have whispered to his brother to wait until he saw her before Kate made it to the altar. Harry is said to have gushed about the couple during his best man speech, calling William the perfect brother and saying he loved Kate like a sister. Fast forward 5 years later, William and Harry were joined by Kate in launching the Heads Together campaign to tackle stigma around mental health in May 2016. The campaign works with charities to change the national conversation on mental well-being. There are several reports that Harry and William's rift began in 2016 when the older brother expressed concerns about how quickly his younger brother's relationship with Meghan was moving. Robert Lacey, historical consultant to the Netflix drama The Crown, claimed in his 2020 book Battle of Brothers that William asked Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, to speak to Harry. Lacey wrote that the result of the Spencer intervention was an even more bitter explosion. However, Harry refused to slow down. He didn't blame his uncle. He understood why his mother's brother would want to help, but he was furious with his elder brother for dragging other family members into the row. Cracks had already begun to form in their relationship, but some people still felt like it was mendable. And so, they called upon their father, King Charles, to intervene. How did it turn out? A king's intervention. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex got married at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, in May 2018. The brothers fell out over Christmas 2018 when Harry accused his brother William, the Duke of Cambridge, of not doing enough to include Meghan in the royal family. Harry felt William was not doing enough in rolling out the red carpet for Meghan and told him so. For that, both brothers had a bit of a fallout, which was only resolved when King Charles stepped in and asked William to make an effort. It was only then that the Cambridges invited the Sussexes to spend Christmas with them. It was not until a year later that the Duke of Sussex appeared to confirm for the first time that relations with his brother were not perfect in the ITV documentary Harry and Meghan, An African Journey. He said that they were brothers and that they will always be brothers. However, they were certainly on different paths at that moment, but he would always be there for his brother, just as he knew that his brother would always be there for him. Harry continued, noting that they did not see each other as much as they used to, because they were both so busy. He still loved him dearly. He noted that the majority of the stuff in the press was created out of nothing, but truly, as brothers, they had good days and they had bad days. When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex decided to step back from their roles as senior royals in January 2020, the brothers had to release a joint statement following reports William had bullied Harry out of the family. The statement read that despite clear denials, a false story ran in a UK newspaper that speculated about the relationship between the Duke of Sussex and the Duke of Cambridge. The report stated that for brothers who cared so deeply about the issues surrounding mental health, the use of inflammatory language in that way was offensive and potentially harmful. However, in their Oprah interview in 2021, The Duchess of Sussex said concerns were raised about baby Archie's skin color before he was born, and she had suicidal thoughts during her time in the royal family. When asked about the racism allegation by Sky News, Prince William said the royals were not a racist family. Harry has had a strained relationship with his brother over the years, and there is little to no hope of rekindling the bond between the two brothers. What about his relationship with his father? A king and a prince. Prince Harry and his father, King Charles, have had a somewhat strained relationship over the past few years, sparked by Prince Harry's decision to step down as a senior working royal in 2020. Their relationship has remained under immense pressure ever since then, and now it would seem that Harry and his father are no longer speaking to one another. According to reports, the Duke of Sussex's desperation to protect his wife and kids has deepened the rift between him and his father. There have been multiple reports about Harry getting unavailable right now whenever he tries to ring his father. Every time he tried to ring the king, his calls went unanswered. Reports suggest that he also tried to reach out about the king's health, but those calls went unanswered too. They added that Harry is extremely concerned for the safety of his wife, Meghan, and children, Archie and Lilibet, which is a main reason as to why he hasn't brought them back to the United Kingdom. The Duke has reportedly tried to reach out to King Charles for help because he felt like the only person who could do anything about it was his father. The strain in their father-son relationship was further proven when Prince Harry was in London to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games. According to multiple news outlets, the king was extremely busy and was unable to see his son due to His Majesty's full program. In response, a representative of the prince noted that the Duke, of course, was understanding of his father's diary of commitments and various other priorities and hoped to see him soon. Prior to that, Prince Harry was most recently in the UK visiting the king following the announcement of his father's shocking cancer diagnosis. Harry only spent 24 hours in his home country, and reports allege he only met with King Charles and Queen Camilla for a total of 40 minutes. It was the Duke of Sussex's first trip back to England since the king's coronation in May 2023. Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle's, decision to step down as senior working royals in 2020 caused a huge stir within the royal family, and their subsequent move to the United States seemingly put even more distance, both physical and emotional, between Harry and his father. Harry and Meghan's children have little to no relationship with their grandparents, and the king would reportedly love to see them more. A source close to the royal household reported that hopefully Harry would bring the grandchildren at some point, as that would be lovely for all of them, particularly in the wake of Charles's cancer battle. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex's 2021 interview with Oprah seemingly added fuel to the fire in terms of their already tumultuous relationship. Harry attended his grandfather Prince Philip's funeral in the UK in September 2022, and he had a conversation with his father, brother, and sister-in-law, following which a source noted that Harry, William, and Charles focused on reaching some form of peace and stability within the family moving forward. The conversations they had were focused less on what had happened and what was said with Oprah, and more on how to move forward as a family. And that is not an easy path. It requires time and understanding. The source added that Charles felt aggrieved at how the family's personal affairs and family dramas were expressed in such an insensitive way. Prior to the late Queen Elizabeth's passing in 2022, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were invited to spend the summer with the king at his Balmoral estate, but they declined the invitation. King Charles, then Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, reiterated his invitation for Harry and Meghan and the whole family, if they wished, to come and stay with him that summer while he was at his home on the Balmoral estate. He thought it might be a good opportunity for everyone to take stock and relax, but the invitation was declined, a source claimed. However, the release of Harry and Meghan's Netflix docuseries as well as Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, both unveiled some details and revelations about the royal family, and as a result, the king was distraught. King Charles was angry and outraged that Harry aired so many embarrassing and damaging assertions, and it put him in a terrible position with Queen Consort Camilla, as she had been dragged into the equation. To the king, That really crossed the line in more ways than one. But there were so many egregious comments and revelations from Harry that his father did not know where to start. He had hoped that in time the dust would settle, and Harry would soften his heart toward his family. At least, he hoped so. As aforementioned, Prince Harry did return to the UK in support of his father's coronation in May 2023, and then again in February 2024 when the King's cancer diagnosis was announced. Making an appearance on Good Morning America following the trip, the Duke said that he loved his family. The fact that he was able to get on a plane and go and see his dad and spend any time with him, he was very grateful for that. There has been a lot of back and forth between the father and son duo, and it remains to be seen whether Prince Harry and King Charles will make amends or if their relationship will remain strained indefinitely. However, in the meantime, does Harry get along well with his late mother's family, reinforcing bonds? The Duke of Sussex has always maintained a close relationship with his late mother, Diana, Princess of Wales's family. His mother, Princess Diana, grew up with 3 siblings, her older sisters, Lady Sarah McCorquodale and Lady Jane Fellows, as well as her younger brother, Charles Earl Spencer, who is custodian of her childhood home, the Althorp Estate in Northampton. Prince Harry discreetly flew in from the US to the UK to attend his uncle Lord Robert Fellows' funeral in August in Snettisham, Norfolk, where he was also joined by his brother, Prince William. Lord Fellows, who was a former equerry to the late equerry, was married to Diana's sister, Lady Jane. According to People magazine, Harry reportedly stayed with his uncle Charles at Althorp during his visit, which is also the location of his mother Diana's resting place. Lord Fellows' funeral fell just 3 days before the 27th anniversary of Diana's passing in August. The princess died in a car crash in Paris in 1997 and was later laid to rest on a tree-lined island at the center of Althorp's Oval Lake. William and Harry's uncle Charles was among the relatives to support his young nephews as they walked in their mother's funeral cortege, with the Earl delivering a moving eulogy at the service. The Spencer family has long supported William and Harry throughout their lives. Whilst there were no senior royals present at the service to mark Harry's Invictus Games' 10th anniversary in May, his uncle Charles, Aunt Lady Jane, and his cousins George McCorquodale, Ned Spencer, and Louis Spencer, Viscount Althorp, were all in attendance. The Duke's warm relationship with his aunts and uncles was on full display when he and William unveiled a statue of Diana in the gardens at Kensington Palace in July 2021 to mark what would have been their mother's 60th birthday. The Spencers were also among the guests at Harry and Meghan's royal wedding in 2018, with Lady Jane chosen to give a reading during the ceremony. His aunts, Lady Sarah and Lady Jane, also attended Prince Archie's christening in Windsor in July 2019 and even appeared in an official portrait to mark the occasion. The Duke even took his wife Meghan to visit Charles at Althorp. In the epilogue of his memoir, Spare, released in January 2023, Harry recalled the poignant moment he took Meghan to pay her respects at his mother's grave. Describing the moment he and Meghan got into a boat to row across to the private island on the estate, Harry wrote that Uncle Charles came down to the water's edge and gave them a little shove. They waved goodbye to him and to his 2 aunts, and noted that they will see them in a bit. Gliding across the pond, he gazed around at Althorp's rolling fields and ancient trees, the thousands of green acres where his mother grew up, and where, though things weren't perfect, she'd known some peace. Prince Harry continues to this day to honor and cherish his mom, despite her passing over 2 decades ago. However, how does he try to keep her legacy going? Carrying a legacy. The Duke of Sussex has said the fight against HIV was a big piece of his mum's legacy in a message marking the 40th anniversary of the Terence Higgins Trust sexual health charity. Prince Harry, recalling the efforts of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, to raise awareness, said he was proud to continue her advocacy. He said the princess had shown empathy for those with HIV at a time of fear. At the height of the epidemic, she made high-profile visits to HIV patients. According to him, like many, his mother grew up in a world where HIV was likely a fatal sentence, wrote Prince Harry in a message to the charity. Yet in the midst of all that uncertainty, she led with empathy, finding the humanity in all around her and demonstrating the power of connection in the face of fear, he wrote. Prince Harry said the goal was to end transmissions of HIV and emphasized the importance of testing and eradicating stigma. Though the last 40 years have shown significant progress, the prince noted that they cannot slow down now, and they must finish the job. HIV does not make people dangerous to know, Princess Diana had said when opening the UK's first specialist HIV/AIDS ward in London in 1987. You can shake their hands and give them a hug. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, highlighted his great sense of unresolved grief after his mother's passing in a car crash in Paris in 1997 when he was 12. In an online interview with a trauma expert, Prince Harry spoke of his fears that therapy would mean losing the feeling that he had of his mum, whatever he had managed to hold on to of his mother. Prince Harry said that growing up he had always felt slightly different to the rest of his family, and he knew that his mum felt the same. Prince Harry continues to honor his mother's legacy by upholding charity works all over the world and ensuring that everything she stood for, he still stands for till today. And that is a quality most admirable in the Duke of Sussex. What do you make of Prince Harry's home? Is it a much better place than his previous one? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.